coming to share in our simcha today. Each and every one of you adds to our joy, and your presence is very much appreciated. I'd like to begin by offering tremendous thanks to my mother and father for making all of this possible. I would like to thank my mother and father-in-law, Mr. and Mrs. Florian, for giving me the greatest gift of Naomi. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. Excuse me. It's a very emotional day. It might take me a few minutes to choke my way through this. Bear with me. Naomi is my true Esha Chayil. I can't express in words how grateful I am to Naomi for being so good to me and for making this day possible. She is my new hero, and I will be forever grateful. I'd like to talk to you now a little bit about the name that we chose for our son, Noach Gavriel. We intentionally chose these names with the hopes that our son will be infused with the positive kochot held within them. The Torah tells us that Noach is an ish tzaddik, tamim haya b'torotav, et ha'elokim hitalech Noach. That Noach was a righteous man, perfect in his generations, and that Noach walked with God. This is tremendous praise, considering how the Parsha goes on to describe those generations as corrupted entirely. Naomi and I both feel that it takes truly special character to thrive in our generation, and we wanted our son to draw upon the courage and strength of character that was necessary for Noach to stand out as a tzaddik in his generation. We believe that those same kochot are crucial in our own time. Noach had a direct relationship with God. He was chosen based on his character to build the ark which would save himself, his family, and the animals of all species from the great flood. After the flood, Noach received a sign from God in the form of a rainbow that would be the covenant between man and God to preserve God's creation until the end of times. Noach was called upon to preserve Hashem's creations and to rescue them from the pitfalls of a corrupted society. Certainly no easy task. But Noach demonstrated trust in Hashem, courage, patience, and perseverance in fulfilling his task. As many of you know, I'm an animal lover and a lover of nature in general. When I look around at nature, I cannot help but to see God. This was a great source of inspiration as I studied the sciences in the pursuit of a nursing degree. Noach must have had some of these same appreciations as he worked tirelessly to preserve each and every species of animal. And Noach demonstrated compassion and respect for all creation in the way he cared for each group of animals, providing for their unique and specific needs. Noach showed patience and courage and chesed as he took 120 years to build the teva, so that others around him would ask questions and hopefully do tshuva. Noach never gave up in his generation, and he continued his task until the rains fell. I remember learning under the guidance of Rabbi Rubinstein the following concept derived from Parshat Shemot. The makom she'ein ish yishtadel liyot ish. That in a place where there is no man to step up and do the right thing, it is incumbent upon us to be that man. In the Parsha it says about Moshe that when he saw the Egyptian beating the Jew, that he looked this way and that and he saw there was no man to deal with the situation. And so he stepped up and put himself where he needed to be. I think that Noach embodied this message with his very existence and is remembered to this very day as a man who stood out as a tzaddik in his generation because he stuck to his morals. About a week before Noach Gavriel was born, Naomi and I were feeling a bit tired, and we decided to partake in some Chinese food from Main Street. And in one of the fortune cookies was the following message. I thought it was funny. The mighty oak was once a little nut that stood its ground. The Hebrew word Noach can literally be translated as rest or comfort. It is our hope that our son will be a source of comfort to those around him, and that he live a peaceful life filled with love and compassion and a restful spirit.
Amen.
Noach, of course, begins with the letter Nun. Which is the first letter of my grandfather's name, Natan al-Basham. I didn't have the zechus to meet my grandfather, but I feel his warmth and love through my parents every day and the values they practice. The second Hebrew letter of Noach is Chet, which happens to be the first letter of my grandmother's name, Chaika. I know they are both here today in spirit, gleaning great nachas from their great children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. It is my great hope that my father's parents are here too, shepherding nachas from their first grandson to continue the leaving name. I am so grateful to my grandparents for all of the sacrifices they made to lay the foundation for our family. Gavriel in Hebrew literally means strong man of God, and comes from the root word of gevura, meaning might or strength. This is true not only in the physical sense, but also in that of inner strength or heroism, often in the form of sacrifice for the sake of us of serving Hashem. Yitzchak Avinu, who was willing to be offered on Mount Moriah at the Akedah, is the paradigm of gevura. Also, Gavriel, meaning Hashem is my strength. We want our son to always draw strength from God. Naomi and I sincerely hope that this name will instill in our son the importance of practicing strength of character. We want our son to know when to rest and when strength is necessary, both proactively and in practicing restraint. In Sefer Bereshit, Rashi quotes Midrashim that Gavriel was the angel who taught Yosef all the languages he needed to know before serving in Pharaoh's court, so that he could relate to each person respectfully and effectively. We all know that the power of speech is one great trait that makes the human species different from other animals. We feel it is incumbent upon us to carefully measure how we use words, and we want our son to be infused with this appreciation for the power of words and the importance of respecting all people, even those different from ourselves. I was recently thinking about how miraculous life is, and what the odds must be for two cells to come together to form the intricate and complex life force that becomes an individual human being. In my mind, any person who can survive that process and reach life must have some merit, which compels HaKadosh Baruch Hu to allow them the zechut to share in this glorious life. For that reason, I feel it is so important to instill in our son a respect for every human being and living creation, regardless of how alike or different they may appear to be. Gavriel is also said to be the angel that led Yosef to finding his brothers as he sojourned from Shechem to Dothan, and was therefore responsible for ensuring God's will be carried out. In Sefer Daniel, Gavriel was the angel who represented Am Yisrael. We sincerely hope the legacy tied up in his name will empower our son to lead a meaningful life in Avodas Hashem. The name Gavriel is also closely tied to our heritage when you examine the first three letters of the Hebrew name, Gimel, Bet, and Resh. Naomi's paternal grandmother was named Gittel, so we have Gimel. Her maternal grandmother was named Gloria, so we have Bet, and her grandfather was named Raphael, so we have Resh. We're all familiar with the Sheva Mitzvot B'nai Noach, the basic fundamental guidelines for human morality that every person must follow. With this foundation, we want our son to add his own unique Jewishness to the natural morality and image of God that rests in every human being. Perhaps this is demonstrated in the synergy of Noach and Gavriel. My own father has taught me many lessons. One that will stick with me forever is when he told me that at the end of this life, we keep no possessions. All we are left with is our name and our reputation. I pray that our son drew inspiration from his names and from the kohot that have been infused into these names over many generations. I pray that our son have the zechut to continue the legacy of our forefathers, and that he be a source of nachas to all of Klal Yisrael. And thank you to Rabbi Rosenberg for helping to guide us through every stage of life, and this one included. Thank you again all for being here. Mazel tov.
Thank you.